Hello and welcome to the next episode of the HelloFresh Cook with me. Today we are looking at Chipotle Black Bean Enchiladas with mozzarella and rocket. So the first thing we have to do, if I flip my recipe over, if you've just heard a funny noise in the background, that might be my dog. First thing we have to do is to put our apron on, of course. You'll have to excuse me, I was on one of those days where I'd forgotten that I'd got to cook, so I put my pyjamas on. It'll probably be quite a regular thing. So, the first step of the recipe is to halve the bell pepper and discard the core and seeds and to slice into thin strips. So, here I am again with my very strange, I guess you could say, way of taking out the seeds and the pith in the pepper. So just, excuse me, frog in my throat. So just slicing those pepper pieces into strips and then peeling and grating the garlic. But as I've explained before, I do use a garlic press. I also like to use more garlic than the recipe calls for, so the recipe calls for 1 clove of garlic, which in my household just would not be anywhere near enough. I then decide to drain my mozzarella before my black beans because I want to be able to use the same sieve. So I've gone away and done that. I've cut out those couple of minutes so that you're not sat there looking at, well, something that probably looks a little bit boring when there's nothing going on. So the last part of the first step is to tear the mozzarella into small pieces. I don't like tearing the mozzarella, which is a bit backwards because I end up doing it later on anyway. So I do slice it into pieces. I'm then trying to use my black bean carton as my rubbish bin and getting all my pepper bits all over the side. I would have just been better to pick it all up and put it straight in the bin. But hey ho, I don't half make life difficult for myself. So I'm just grabbing my garlic and washing it because I managed to drop it on the floor. And then I'm going to get my pan. So step number 2 is to heat a drizzle of oil in a large frying pan on a high heat. Once hot, add the sliced pepper and fry until just soft for 3 to 4 minutes. So turning the hob on just there and then getting my oil and giving that a really good drizzle into the pan. Trying to keep my area tidy, which you'll realise later on that I don't manage to do by the end of this recipe. So I'm just going to grate the garlic. It's not grating, it's garlic pressing. Words are not my strong suit today, I do apologise. So like always, using all the garlic, making sure that none of it gets left in the garlic press because it's all very important. So here we go. Adding the sliced pepper and frying until soft for 3 to 4 minutes. You're just making sure that it's cooked, really. You don't have to test it or anything. It will tend to soften up in the oven anyway when you put it in. So the next step is to stir in the garlic, but I'm just giving these peppers a stir to make sure that they cook nice and evenly. And getting my dish out ready for when I roll my enchiladas up. So just giving those peppers another good stir. It doesn't matter if you get bits of the pepper that go a little bit charred, it's all added flavour. A bit like when you char something on the barbecue. Nothing better than charring something on the barbecue. So here we go, just about to add the garlic. I think in a second I do turn the pan down. Yeah, just there. Doesn't turn it down by very much, but it's just so that the garlic doesn't burn, because garlic doesn't taste very nice when it's burnt. I have learnt that myself. So we're then going to add the chipotle paste, and it does say in the recipe to add less if you'd prefer things milder. We're not fussed about spicy stuff, so I choose to put it all in. I don't want to waste anything. And then the next step is to add the black beans, which have been draining in the sink. I don't know whether I gave them a rinse. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put some water into the carton that they've come in to get any of the juice out of that and any bits of beans that are stuck to the side, and then pour that over the beans that are in the sieve. So the next part, excuse me, is step number 3, which is stir the veg stock paste, chopped tomatoes and sugar for sauce into the bean mixture. Obviously, I think I've said before that I don't like to add sugar to anything. It's an unnecessary step, really, because, well, we don't need any more sugar in our lives, I can guarantee that. So I don't tend to put the sugar in when the recipe calls for sugar, unless it really does need it. But most of the time you can't really tell. So just cutting the top off of my chopped tomatoes. This chopped tomatoes is a mix of chopped tomatoes with onion and garlic, so it will have a nice bit of flavour in there as well. So just pouring that in, getting all those little bits out, and then I'll stick a little bit of water in there, swirl it around and pour it in, just like that. Now the next bit will be, after clearing up after myself, as always, is to give it a good stir, mix it all in, make sure that nothing's sticking to the bottom of the pan. And that looks lovely. As long as it's all mixed in well and that it's cooking evenly, you shouldn't have any problems at all. I suppose sometimes it is a good idea, like the recipe says just here, to reduce the heat to medium and simmer until thickened. Sometimes it is a good idea to reduce your heat. It saves on your energy bills. Not very much, but it does. And it also means that your food doesn't catch on the bottom. So step number 3 does also say to mash half of the black beans with a fork in the pan. I'm not too fussed about doing that. I don't mind beans at all, and my other half didn't complain, and he's always telling me that if I was to make a chili con carne and put beans in it, then he wouldn't eat the beans, but he didn't have any problems eating this meal, so you know. It then says to preheat your grill to high, so I just put these in the oven. I didn't put the grill on, I just popped them in the oven and let the cheese melt that way. I think I probably would have put the oven on to 200 for preheating. So step number 4 says, once the sauce is thickened, lay the tortillas on a board, which is what I've done over there. And it's roughly 3 per person. So I'm moving you a bit closer so that you can see. And then it says, reserve a quarter of the bean mixture for the topping, then spoon the remaining bean mixture down the centre of each, then roll them up to enclose the filling. So what I've done there is I've got a pan stand so that I can have it at easy access. It does say in this step as well to drizzle a little oil over the bottom of an oven-proof dish, then lay in the wraps. Pack them snugly side by side with the folded edge underneath so they don't unroll. Well, me being me, once I'd rolled up the tortillas, I put them straight into the oven-proof dish. I didn't drizzle any oil over at all, but that's typical me. It really is. However, they didn't stick, so it wasn't too much of a problem. So I haven't put any of the bean mixture aside. I've just not used it all out of the pan. I do then, this is the bit where I make a mess, and it is ridiculous when I move the board out the way. It is absolutely ridiculous. So here we go, pop in the tortillas, or I should say enchiladas, because essentially now they are enchiladas. Popping them in and then rolling them over so that they are sitting on the seam. And then after this, I'm drizzling loads of sauce all over the work surface and board. Really is a nightmare. I top the enchiladas with the leftover bean mixture. As you can see, getting all the last little bits out. And then realise there that I've made a mess. And there you can see my mess has just decided to get a lot bigger. So the next step is to top with the torn mozzarella. So you'll see here that I'm adding a bit, and then I'm going to go and tear the rest. Don't ask me why, I just decided that might be a good idea. We don't get to eat mozzarella very often. Well, I say that unless we have a pizza, but I'm trying to steer away from eating too many pizzas because they're not good for you at all. So adding the mozzarella on just here, and then I don't know why I don't usually tear it up, but for some reason I have torn it up today. And then what I remembered was I'd used some grated cheese over the weekend, and I'd got a little bit left, so I thought, you know what, I might as well use it up because I don't think I'm going to use it at any other point during this week. So I poured that over the top, making sure not to waste any, and then my little cheese grater can be used for something else, which later on in the week I did decide that I was going to use it to grate some courgette, or zucchini if you're American. And I made a courgette loaf. So just pop that in the oven and putting my pan stand away and getting everything cleaned off, or as cleaned off as I can. And I don't know why I rubbed that on the white tea towel. Sometimes I must just not think. So I'm just about to spray the surfaces down and give everywhere a good spray. Make sure it's all clean. So moving things out the way, spraying the work surface. There, good as new. That's what we like. So the next step is step number 5, and it says, in a medium bowl add the red wine vinegar, sugar and olive oil for the dressing. See pantry for amounts. Again, I don't add any sugar, doesn't need any sugar. So all I do is I season it with salt and pepper, and then I toss the rocket in the dressing. Now unfortunately, just after I'd put my pepper in, my phone overheated, which is becoming quite a problem at the moment because the weather in the UK is so hot at the moment. I mean, we're on the 8th of September and we're 25 to 30 degrees and sunbathing in the garden. So I'm having to put my phone into the fridge to cool it down. When it works, it does work. So here we go. Popping my salt in, and then I give it a stir, and then I pop the rocket in, and then I mooch the rocket round, and then eventually I'll put it on my plates, which you'll see in a second, just like so. So I'd also got the tortillas out of the oven, and I get a spoon, and what I do is I serve 2 each, and then my partner takes the other 2 to work a couple of days later because he was running out of food to take this week. So that dish is really hot, so I'm just making sure that I'm not burning myself. There we go. Loads of stringy cheese, absolutely perfect. And this meal was so nice, it went down so well. It was absolutely fantastic. Getting all that extra bits of bean mixture. and we are nearly at the end. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all okay, and this meal was absolutely delicious. Look how lovely that looks. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.